Spiky
Ross.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm a singer.
Hi, my name is Peyton, and I'm a dancer.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today we are finally reacting to Kingdom Episode 1. We have been waiting for a very long time.
Kingdom has officially started, and we are obviously reacting to this whole show as it's going on. And today, episode 1 came out, but a few things before we get into the reactions. Number 1. In case you couldn't tell by our introduction, we both have performance backgrounds. I'm more singing based, Peyton's more dancing based, but our backgrounds are going to affect how we're reacting to watching these performances, like what we comment on, what we focus on. For more detailed explanations of our performance backgrounds, we have our FAQ, which is linked in the description box.
Related to that, because we have performance backgrounds, one of the things that is affected is going into the reaction. We do not watch the episode, we don't watch the rehearsal packages. Everything is sort of like going in blind as if we were a real audience. The only thing we'll know is what the challenge is for the round. So today it's the 100-second challenge, and the groups had to choose a song that they had gotten first place with. The reason we do this is because the performances are made to be experienced live and therefore should be able to stand on their own and tell the story without any sort of explanation.
Number 3, we don't pause the video while we're watching the performances. This is because, like Peyton said, we pretend like we're there as a live audience watching it, and you can't really pause. The performances are designed to be experienced as a whole, so after we finish watching it, we then will like go back and rewatch and then like focus on specific things to comment on. All
right, and finally, we will be watching in episode order, as far as we know, because again, we didn't watch the episode yet, so in the order that Mnet uploads it to YouTube. So today, it will be ATEEZ, BTOB, SF9, Stray Kids, The Boyz, and iKON.
As always, there are timestamps in the pinned comment down below to help you navigate the video. With that being said, let's go!
Okay, so first up, ATEEZ, their 100-second performance where they will be doing Wave Overture version. Let's go. I'm actually so nervous.
Me too.
I'm expecting pirates.
Yep, there's the ship.
Oh! Are they shipwrecked?
I mean strings, because overture.
The floor is like a pirate ship.
Cannons. Oh wow.
Wow. This is so different. Okay. He covered some ground there. Like he got far.
Stunts.
Yeah. Patience.
What's the torch for? I see
and it's
it.
pointed like it's a ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it.
It's as if he was at the... What is that called?
The helm.
Yes.
Or like the... yeah.
Mm.
Ending fairies.
Nice. I was wondering why these videos were so long for 100-second performance.
Oh, yeah. So first, obviously, pirates. Pirates are the theme. That's sort of ATEEZ's thing anyway. Like, before they'd even showed the ship, we were both like, yeah, we're just kind of expecting pirates. But that really affects the entire dance, like what they're doing. because it's designed to feel like they're on turbulent waters. It's heightened by the CGI and like the background that they're using on the floor and on the screen. But just like a couple of things that added to that. So I said, oh, he covered a lot of ground when they had the little trio between Seonghwa, Yeosang, and Yuno. All three of them, when they start coming towards the camera and passing, they're doing original choreography from Wave. It's usually Seonghwa's part where he skips through the stage, but they're doing it a lot more exaggerated and they're covering a lot more ground. And because they're moving further really quickly, it's also making them look like they're thrown off balance. They're like tilting their bodies and their feet are leading them. So their bodies are like kind of behind. They're basically moving on this angle around, which makes it kind of feel like that turbulent feeling. Sunny's flip too, obviously it's like you're being thrown around. The only thing that I kind of wish there is that you hadn't seen him kind of like prep for it, like if he had just walked straight into it. But I also have done that move before and know that you need like a second to flip. There were so many moments of kind of like circling, and it sort of felt like when you see pirates like dancing around after they've had like a party, that sort of like shanty song, like dancing around, and the whole dance was designed to feel that way. I also thought it was interesting though, because they had kept some of the original choreography from Wave, but they also had some similar choreography to the Mama dance break that they had done as sort of like the spoiler for Kingdom. In the chorus, like they were doing movements, and I really was waiting. There was a moment where they all grabbed their heads and I was waiting for them to like break their head and go to the side, because there is a very similar moment in the Mama dance break when Wooyoung is at the front. And I was like waiting for it, but then they had changed it and gone into something else. So I thought that was interesting that they're already sort of setting up that storyline. And final comment on that note, it's called Overture. So I'm wondering if they're starting a storyline and they're going to sort of carry it through all of the different stages. And then I also just thought that for this particular like 100 seconds, it was interesting how they started sort of very defeated, like stumbling around, cannon blows, they all fall down. But at the end, they're very victorious, like the ship is rebuilt. He's got the torch. There's a lot of symbolism there because they are the youngest group on the show. And so they have the highest hill to climb in terms of like overcoming the challenges on the show. And it sort of felt like they're saying like, yes, we can climb that summit. But that's all I'm gonna say for today. Anna's turn.
Okay, so my comments. Overture, hence strings, and like a little bit of an orchestral arrangement towards the beginning. But in general, how they changed the song and this performance was kind of everything I was expecting, to be honest. After I had heard that they were doing Wave, I was like, okay, well, it's their introduction performance, which is basically going to be like a 100-second summary of a group as a whole. And you want to leave a strong impression, especially since they are rookies and they have like the furthest to climb. They want to leave a really strong impression. So I was like, okay, they're going to do like a dance break EDM hard remix version at some point. They're going to highlight one of their biggest attributes, which is Choi Jong-ho's high notes, which they found a way to include at the end. And also, they're going to include their pirate theme storyline. By the way, when you were mentioning the storyline, how is it going to connect throughout the show? My bet is on yes, since the dance connected to what they were doing for Mama, even in like the solo performance film. But also, now I'm curious, is this storyline going to be part of like the ATEEZ canon storyline? Or is it separate, like a spin-off? I mean, one of ATEEZ's biggest attributes is their facials, and one facial that really stuck out to me was Hongjung's in the beginning when he's like looking up and then the cannonballs hit and then like the ship wrecks or whatever, and it's like a, oh, what's there? You can see it change from like, oh, what's coming to like, oh no, something's happening. And that was like, I think my main sort of like 아쉬워 moment is the ending. The ending is really cool, like the picture that they're creating. And I kind of understand why they had to do it this way. My feeling is like it would have been more impactful since Jongwoo is the one singing the high note, for him to be the one like holding the torch and standing up. But at the same time, I get why, because they use Sunny as like their performance center a lot, and like Jongwoo physically as like the strongest member needs to be the base and the foundation for the ship that they're creating. So like I get it, but in my mind I'm like, oh no, but he's singing the high note, he needs to be the one like who's holding it. And last thing that I wanted to say was in the arrangement in the orchestral beginning, I really liked like the pre-chorus when it's the trio that you were talking about, how they have the string hits, because it's very different from like the more flowy dancing that they're doing, I guess, because I feel like the strings that you're hearing are the more like aggressive waves. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Next. Okay, so next is B2B doing their song 아름답고도 아프구나 choir version. Exciting. Is it really gonna be a choir? Let's find out. Oh. I'm ready. Who's singing the bass notes?
Yeah, love them pain, yeah, listen from my mistakes. 우린 실패로부터 성장해. 사랑은 하고 싶지만 nobody wants to deal with the pain that follows. No, I understand it. Oh, yeah, 이해돼. 사랑이라는 게 미롭게 하는 게 이제는 매일 괴롭게 해. 아픈 건 없어지겠지만 상처들은 영원해. But that's why it's called 시간은 슬프게 기다리질 않네요.
Stairway to Heaven in the background.
언제가 되겠죠. 다시 시작하는 게 너무나 힘든 걸요. 어김없이 끝이 날까봐. 사랑을 만나 수없이 많은 나를 울고 웃었다. 순간이란 게 아름답고도 아프구나. 아름답고도 아프구나.
Oh, the slide. Yes, milk that slide.
Where to begin? I have so much to say. Just kidding, this is not a dance, so. There is still performance aspects to it though, which I will talk about. And we've talked in a couple of other BTOB reactions that we've gotten to do that one of their strengths, since they do focus these like more recently, more on vocals and showcasing that, they are really good at emoting through facials, through their gaze, and through very tiny gestures. Like there's a lot of meaning put into the way that they're moving. It's all very intentional. Even when Peniel was walking, after he like started on one end of the stage and was walking down to meet the others, the way that he's walking is very intentional. Like when he's taking the steps, how it is timed with the music and like the percussion and the beats that are happening. When a step is very strong versus when he kind of like stumbled because he's showing that pain, like that's all very calculated and planned. When Eunkwang and Minhyuk turn, and there's a moment where you can sort of feel like the synergy sort of like connect between the two of them as they walk forward. Like they're very aware of each other on stage. And even though it's just a vocal performance pretty much, there is still performance to it. There was a moment where they showed Changsub and his eyes were glistening and I was like, he's so in tune with like the emotions that he's portraying, that he's really feeling them. He's not just like acting out the emotion, like they are so in tune to what they're singing that they're starting to feel those emotions and it's presenting itself, and that affects how the audience perceives it. And it, like, I was getting goosebumps while I was listening to it because they have beautiful voices too. That was also giving me goosebumps. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Anastair.
This is exciting for me. This never really gets to happen in shows like this, okay? Okay, I'm gonna get the kind of like, thing out of the way first, which is, this is called choir version, and I already knew going in that it wasn't actually gonna be a choir version, because there's only 4 people in the group, and Peniel is the rapper, so 3 people does not make a choir. Yeah, they have like a lot more harmonies that are highlighted in this arrangement, but yeah, not a choir. That doesn't mean that it was bad. I'm just like, misleading title, come on. Anyways, so obviously it's BTOB. They have amazing singing voices. Are you okay?
Yeah, keep going.
But one thing I really wanted to highlight was in the beginning, when they have that like harmonization, their like main choir moment, there are extra voices in there besides the 3 of them that have been pre-recorded. One thing that's really important with group singing and specifically harmonizing is you'll notice like a lot of times there's the performance of like the people who are singing together looking at each other and making eye contact. And yes, there's a performance aspect to that, but also just for group singing, you need to have that like connection with each other. Just when you're singing with other people, you need to listen to what they're doing so that you can blend and balance properly. Because it could be one thing for them to each be singing their own lines at the same time, and yes, technically those notes are harmonized with each other, but it's another thing to like sing together in harmony. You know, it like just all locks into place, because especially in that moment, no one person is really supposed to be like sticking out more than the other, and that's something that I really appreciated. Obviously the ending, I love the slide that Changsub did. I literally said milk that slide. Honestly, he could have milked that slide a little bit more, but then it might have been too 느끼해, so like appropriate amount of slide. Eunkwang wasn't originally in this song, but the high note that he does, for one thing, when it's like completely silent and then the high notes rise through the silence is beautiful, but also his vowels are so perfect for that high note. Yes, you could try to hit that high note on like an ugly vowel and it would technically hit it, but there's a difference between range versus singing with technique, and then you build upon that with your range, and that's what he has, and that is so much better. Alright, that's all I can say. Next.
Now we will be watching SF9 in their 100-second performance, Good Guy, The Glory? Yes, Good Guy, The Glory. And it is to our understanding that Loun is not actually in the performance, that he was unable to sort of prepare and was also like suffering from some minor injuries, so he went for the filming of the show but won't be in the performance, to what we understand. So,
yes,
let's go. The intro makes me nervous.
I know. It's just so loud.
Taeyang? Tani? Yeonbin? Who's it
They're
gonna be?
wearing white. It's like a crystal.
Who is it?
Oh!
Inzong?
Yeah!
What?
He's starting it. I mean, they're wearing suits again.
Again.
Winter?
On brand.
Yeah. Model walking.
He like pulled them all in.
Yeah.
Are those water droplets?
Where?
They already stopped. There were only like 2.
Oh. Oh.
Oh, I wish they'd showed that from the front.
When he comes up.
Did someone's mic just drop?
Oh, slight remix. There's like 30 seconds. Oh, because they have a lot of members.
Yeah, they gotta get the facials for everyone.
I was like, why do you need 30 extra seconds?
What?
Because they have a lot of more members.
Right. I don't know what to do while we just watch their faces.
I know. I was like, we just watch their faces.
Let me start with my like actual like a bit of a shame moment so that I can talk about other stuff that's like better and happy afterwards. It was just a small thing. There was just a moment when they were doing the chorus choreography when Zuho was in the front. For a couple of seconds he got off of timing. Like I think he might have like gone from one move and then skipped something, but he realized it really quick and he covered it well, which like is just a skill that you have to have when you're doing live performances, because that happens. But he clicked back in within like 3-ish seconds, so it was only a couple of moves that were a little bit wrong. A couple of other things. So I thought the intro was really interesting because they spent a good chunk of time sort of like walking forward, and it felt sort of like introducing themselves. Like Anna called it runway walking. And I mean, like, they are really tall. They do look like models. Like, it fits with the whole like gentlemanly vibe. But I thought that was a really interesting intro because you only get 100 seconds. And so you have to really plan out like, how do you want to spend those 100 seconds? To spend like at least 15 to 20 seconds sort of just like walking forward and preparing yourself really stuck out to me. I think it worked because obviously it stuck out in my mind, like I'm gonna remember it, but also they're going for that sort of like gentleman, like it sort of feels like an Old Town Gangster sort of vibe. And they're very intimidating, and like their faces look really intimidating, and they sort of are like coming at you. And even though it is just walking, it was still very coordinated when they fill into line, how they come forward. And so it builds and then the music starts. Also, shout out to Taeyang and his professionalism, because at one point I was like, did someone's mic just drop? Because I thought I saw a string, and then I noticed it afterwards. Taeyang's mic dropped like during the EDM dance break section, and then he did the rest of the dance without fidgeting with it. And I was like, oh, the professionalism. Like, he kept going, he didn't mess with it, so it didn't draw attention. Really good show of how experienced they are. I do think it's interesting though, because they didn't change a lot of the choreography. I would have to directly compare them, but from just like what I remember of Good Guys choreography, I don't think they changed much, at least in the chorus. But again, for the concept that they're going for, like, it works. You don't want to change it too much to be like too wild, because they're showing a more like refined, sophisticated demeanor, and the choreography is already designed to look like that. And they also got to contrast it with the EDM dance break, where they really highlighted like their dancers and so had some more interesting moments. So it was a really interesting like composition of choreography, but for what they're going for, like, it definitely worked. Anna's turn.
Hi, so for my comments, I mean, Peyton already kind of referenced it. The more EDM dance break is not surprising, because like, strong impression for the 100, like the first stage that you're having for a competition show. And also she mentioned the model walking, which, like, once again, first impression, this performance is meant to highlight your strengths. And like, what is it? In the pre-Kingdom video, when Dongbang Shingi is commenting on all of the groups, they mentioned that as one of SF9's strengths. Like, oh, they're, how do you say, like, they're physical in like English? Their physiques themselves are one of their strengths, so they're showcasing that. I think my main, like, Ashriwal, bit of a shame thing is there isn't really a lot of singing in it, which, like, there doesn't have to be, because this 100-second performance is up to interpretation, like how you want to use that time. But when there was the singing portion for like the chorus of Good Guy, they were not singing live. That, or the backing vocals were just like very loud to the point where you can't hear their raw live vocals, which like isn't necessarily a bad thing, because like, once again, this performance, how they want to use their time is up to interpretation and what they choose to do, and with the amount that they had to prepare. If they think that like singing live is going to distract from the rest of the performing that they're doing, then they can choose not to do that, and that's fine. That being said, as a singer, I hope that they do like let their live vocals shine in one of the future performances, because I would really enjoy that, because they do have good singers in this group. And then the last main comment that I wanted to say, for something that really stuck out to me, they used like the stage very well. Like the not props really, but like how they used the LED floor was very good. When like, the picture that sticks out in my mind is like the overhead shot and like the crystal breaking when they're all outlining it. Peyton mentions it usually, but like, she always talks about like stage pictures and things that will like stick out in your mind to remember, and that was definitely one that was very impactful that stuck out in my mind to remember. That's all I really had to say. Next! Alright, so next performance is Stray Kids doing Miro? There's no like alternate title that they have for it. So yeah, let's just go! I don't know how many more times I can handle that intro.
Jimmy.
Oh! It's like a chant.
But it's the same background from the performance film. The wolf thing on there.
Oh! Wolf eyes.
Yeah. That
trick.
back it up.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yes, Lino. Is that a knife?
Yeah, they're dancing with knives. Oh, oh Jenny.
So basically, like, predators.
Yeah.
Is it literally?
He's so cool.
Oh. This is like a combination with their. Oh.
There's the acrobatics.
역시. This concept makes me think of their Easy music video.
Oh yeah.
The knife sounds. Yep.
It works really well with the choreography.
What is that?
It's their crown, because each one has a different crown that's associated with them.
Oh, I was like, what is that symbol? Okay.
One of the things that really stuck out in this was how they used the camera and like the camera directing really well, and you could tell that they'd done a lot during their camera rehearsals and like in the way the choreography is made to utilize the camera. Right from the beginning, when Jinny, Hyunjin, looks up, like he does his whole intro that's sort of like slinky, and then he glances up and then the camera drops back down and they're all there. So they've planned that like they'll run in when the camera's not focused and then it comes back in. Or when they're doing the different stunts, like when Jinny flips and then Lino does the breakdancing and Felix jumps off and over Jisung, the cameraman's like in the middle and he's turning and like catching all of that, and it's perfectly timed so that you don't really see the setup for what they're gonna do. Obviously been very well rehearsed and has been very well planned. When you're doing stunts on stage, that's how it should be. Like you shouldn't really see the setup for it. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. The flip specifically, when I was like, that's it, that moment, that's what I want to see for like stunts, because you didn't see it coming. Like Jinny ran in and went straight into the flip. You didn't prep for it. It's still impactful if you see the prep happening, but when it just goes straight into it, it feels more dangerous and it makes your heart race and it sticks out more in your mind. Also, the Lino breakdancing stunt flipping moment, while that was happening, I was like, wow, this is gonna be a really good show for him to like showcase what he can do, because he is their main dancer. He like grew up dancing, was gonna be a professional choreographer, and like this sort of performance show is gonna really like let him like showcase that. The knifeography was also so good. It made it feel so dangerous. It had so much musicality, like all of the slicing, and there was a really good moment where they like slice and then they pause and then they flipped the knife around and there was like a in the music. Like it was just really good. My one little like 아쉬워 moment was just that there were a couple of times where I felt like I could see people not totally locked into exactly what they were doing at the time, but mentally preparing for like, where am I gonna go next? Like they'd look over before they went to their next spot or something. And it's not like a bad thing. It's just that I'm being picky because the performance was so good, honestly. And there's so much going on that I understand why you would be like mentally a couple of steps ahead in your performance. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying about how the stunts, like you didn't really see them coming. And now I want that for like position changes, formation changes. Like I want it for everything, because I shouldn't be able to see like, oh, he's about to walk over there because he turned his head a little bit too early, that sort of thing. But last thing, I did like how they kept the chorus choreography though, because so much of it had changed and they'd added so many elements that keeping the same chorus choreography kind of grounded you back, because it was a moment where it was just dancing. It wasn't a lot of like tricks, stunts, flashy things, and it's recognizable. And since this is supposed to be a song that they won with that like kind of showcases the group, I was like, okay, this is a nice like centering moment in the midst of the craziness. So Anna's turn.
Hello, so for my comments, I thought it was fitting that they have a more like wild, animalistic concept for this song because like Miro, they're talking about like jungle, and like the original song has a lot of like, it has the bird sounds, it has like the lion's roars in it, so it's like a different version of that instead. And like they kept in the, not the same bird sounds, but like the beginning, you still hear that like caw of a bird sound as it's rising right before the rest of the performance starts. Another note, they have a lot of stunts, props usage right from the start. First performance, which yes, you need for a competition show like this. You can tell that they've been studying and preparing a lot, and this is very strategic. Another thing, I really like how they rearranged this song for the performance, because like I said, they had to change something since it's like a different variation of a more like wild animalistic thing. But they play with silence a lot, and like you mentioned how when they're dancing with the knives and like the way that the stunts are done, it feels more dangerous and it like makes your heart race, keeps you on the edge of your seat. The arrangement of the song does that too, because the way that they play with silence, it's like building anticipation when it's so silent, and then all of a sudden something will happen. And then there's also like the little sound effects like the knife sounds when they're dancing with the knives. My Ashuo moment is similar to yours. It's just like there's so much happening, and it is the opening performance that you can tell that they're kind of nervous. One thing that sticks out to me is like, I'm not really upset about it, like it's understandable, is that when Changbin does his rap part, he's rushing. But I mean, like, he's also holding this huge firework thing while he's rapping, so I'm not gonna like get on him for that. But also it's like live performance and things can go wrong. It's like the dagger thing at the end before the lights turn red, the timing for that was a little off, like the dagger came too early. But overall, this was really impactful. Like they also had the stage pictures that we talked about, like the one in the beginning with the green wolf eyes shining through the darkness. So overall, I'm just like, this is a very well thought out, planned, coordinated, strategic first performance for a competition show. Next!
Now we will be watching The Boys. They are the winners of Road to Kingdom. Of all the groups, we probably have the best idea of what they'll do, but at the same time they always surprise us, so let's see! They're doing the Steeler Epic version. This intro's a lot. Juyeon? It's his outfit from the performance film. A lot of flipping happening in this episode.
I know, I noticed that. Dubstep dance. Alright, there's a lot of whispering happening.
Oh, that's really nice.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Let me play it. That's similar.
The lighting too is like the Steeler concept.
Okay, and so it's their music, yeah.
And then referencing the past. Oh, they're old.
Oh.
When the flowers were blooming. I got it.
Yeah. It's gonna fall, yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool, the rebound though.
It's kind of like a summary of their Road to Kingdom journey, basically.
Yeah. Into the performance film too, because that was June's music.
These close-up shots are so awkward.
Hello Hyunjae. I think it's really impactful and also a really interesting decision that they start with the line, "Is it an addiction?" And it's like that whispered, like creepy, like kind of sinister. Juyeon like wrapped around Juyeon. In dance, a lot of times addiction is portrayed as like someone controlling you. And that was sort of what it felt like through all of the like different whisper sections when they're doing those moments, like something's there controlling you from behind. The boys are so good at creating those stage pictures that Anna has talked about a couple of times so far, like the moments that really stick out in your mind even after the performance is over. They've obviously had practice with it and with this specific stage, because one thing I noticed is that they use the stage very well because they have a lot of members, and so obviously they do a lot of group work, but they use the different dimensions of the stage, which takes practice because this is not a normal stage formation, but it imprints a lot of different moments into your mind. The best one, obviously though, at least in my opinion, was the hands shooting into the camera during Sunwoo's rap. And I was sort of sitting there and I was like, all right, what are they gonna do this time that they haven't done before? That was just like so ingenious to use just hands coming into the camera because it's super impactful and it took us both off guard. Obviously they have the beautiful contemporary balletic moment. I kind of wish they'd shown a little bit more of it from the front because a lot of that was shown from above. And I just personally would have enjoyed seeing like their hands and the lines they were making, because you could tell they were making lines like with extended legs and hands up, and that's the whole focus of ballet. So they return to the Quasi una Fantasia music that they've used. And so now I'm like, all right, well, how are you going to build the story? Because we're all expecting a story. But that leads into my only Ashiwo moment, and that was that like one of the only shots you could see from the front of the contemporary moment was when they swung their leg around. And I know they're wearing shoes, but still I was like, point your feet. You broke the line, point your feet. And that's just like something that I will eternally have every time anyone does contemporary dance on this show. So please point your feet. But the last thing, so the fall into the rebound was obviously a really impactful moment, especially because Gia didn't just fall. He sort of, it looked like he'd been hit by something and it like shot him backwards and he just completely disappeared from frame. And then they immediately pushed him forward and they all sort of melted. And so again, it's another impactful moment that sticks in your mind. And I liked that it happened at the end because it made you kind of like lean forward into the camera, like what just happened? And so it engaged you. But also the way they unfolded after that as the music was fading was really nice because it sort of felt like preparing for battle, preparing for war. Like, all right, we're building back up again. So what's gonna happen next? Anna's turn.
All right, so right into my comments. They are using their knowledge and experience from Road to Kingdom for this. Like making the interesting stage pictures. Peyton already mentioned the hands, using the stage in a different way. But also, one of my comments was, I wonder if they're going to do a storyline. Like before watching this, I had been wondering if they were going to continue with a storyline. And overall, this was kind of just like everything I had come to expect from the boys. Like one big change that I noticed was Sunwoo's rap change, which like he already had been doing in Road to Kingdom, changing the lyrics for his raps. I didn't catch all the lyrics. I remember hearing something about like a battle, so I was like, okay, yeah, you're battling in Kingdom. So fitting. The rearrangement for the Stealer in the beginning, they also are doing more of like using a lot of silence, very like low-key sort of, but building that tension and making it feel dangerous. I think it was something about the lighting, because I get that they're using like the more pink lighting. Pink was also the color that they used for the Stealer, and that's the lighting that they used for like the Stealer song portion of this performance. But I don't know, just something about the way that the lighting was working with the stage outfits, it just didn't feel dangerous enough. Does that make sense? But that was like my only main Ashura thing. Other than that, like the boys definitely with this performance have met the expectation that I had for them to do for an introductory performance. So yeah, next. Okay, so the last performance that we are watching is iKON doing Rhythm Ta Kingdom version. It's for Kingdom. Alright, let's go.
It's been a minute since I've heard Rhythm Ta.
Ow. Rhythm Ta.
What to expect?
iKON is back. iKON is back.
Oh.
Okay. They're so cool. They're so swaggy. I could never.
I love gunshot sounds.
Did he do that without running?
Yeah.
God, Bobby.
He was just standing behind him. The remix. They changed the instrument.
Yes.
How are they gonna do like the close-up on the faces? They can't.
They're just not. No close-ups.
I was like, they just did it.
They are having such a good time. Like, they really are. There's that moment when Bobby was definitely supposed to be rapping because he had been rapping, and then he just like stopped and was just like smiling and having a good time while the backtrack kept going. And I was like, you all are all having such a good time. They are 선배s, like they're the second oldest group on the show in terms of debut year. And so obviously they've got a lot of experience. Also, we talked about this earlier before we started filming. They've done a lot of survival programs. Like they had Win, Mix and Match, and we're on like a Chinese dance survival program. And then, oh yeah, and Bobby did Show Me the Money and won. So like they have a lot of survival program experience, and these sorts of programs, it's sort of like an audition. Like the more you do it, the easier it gets. Like the nerves go away, like you become used to it. And like that comes through. They were very like collected and just having a good time. At least outwardly, they didn't appear to be very nervous, and it really like worked for their performance, because this performance was really playful, especially after they had like the darker, swaggier entrance, and then like the lights came up when Bobby started rapping, and they were just like having a good time. Also, the outfits. The white outfits were a really good choice, because with the lighting that they had chosen, they were still showing up because it wasn't like black. It's like reflecting the lights, it's brighter. And also it set them apart because no other group except BTOB wore all white. They had kept elements of the dance, like the original dance, obviously, Rhythm Ta, and like the swaggy part. Like I didn't even realize that I remembered this choreography, to be completely honest, but apparently I did, because I was like, oh yeah. But what's interesting is that they kept it, but they did little variations of it. But other than a few smaller stunts at the beginning, like Chunwon sliding under someone's legs and Bobby just straight up jumping over someone without having to run, like the strength in that man, they didn't really have a lot of stunts. Like they really focused on just dancing and like performing, and I think it works for them, and especially for this performance, because it plays to their strength, and like they're really good at hyping up an audience. I think honestly it's a little bit ashiwo for them that this isn't being able to be done in front of a live audience, because they are really good at hyping up an audience, and you could literally see the groups on the side like doing the original choreography with them during the song. Like the groups were dancing along, Anna and I were dancing along. Like it's just one of the things that they are really good at, so I really enjoyed it. Anna's turn.
Yeah, my first comment was literally, they're having a great time. And like Bobby was smiling, and like I kept seeing Donghyuk smiling too. I think the only one who was like, no, we're gonna win was Tune. And I was like, okay, well that's just his personality, so that makes sense. Peyton said this too, but that's just the thing with iKON. Like I genuinely believe that their biggest strength is that they just have a way of making people want to join this like big party that they're doing. And like, yeah, it's a shame that the live audience isn't there for them, but like we were even feeling that through the screen. And I think that's something with these competition survival shows, is that for entertaining an audience, I think it's like one of a few things. One of those is the stunts, stage pictures, props. Another one is just like being able to hype them up with like the energy that you exude yourself. And the latter is something that iKON has, but that is also one that just comes with a lot of experience, which they clearly have. Anyways, talking about the way that they remix the song, like I threw away a comment while we were watching that they changed the instrument in the background, and it's this more like fluty line that is playing in the beginning, in like the intro with their more like dancey part, and also it's the more like flute line that is reminiscent of like the performance film. Again, they are much older now than when Rhythm Ta originally came out, so it's like interesting to see a different take on it now. Like they still have raw energy, but it's like less raw, unrestrained energy and more like a little bit more like pulled in and refined, but they're still having fun with it, like smiling. And then the red lighting I thought was really interesting, because like honestly when I think of Rhythm Ta, I think of them in the red outfits, but instead they're wearing the white outfits with the red lighting, and like you said, the way that it's reflecting off of them, but also like the very beginning when they're in that sort of like tree pose. It's like at first I couldn't see it because the red is reflecting off of their white outfits, but then when it zoomed in more, I was like, ah, I liked it. I was very entertained, clearly. So yeah, I don't know how to wrap up this video.
Alright, so we have now finished reacting to and commenting on all of the 100-second stages for the first episode of Kingdom. It's been so long coming that we didn't know if we'd ever get here. But we're really glad that it finally started. If you made it through this whole video, congratulations, you're awesome. If you just watched parts of this video, congratulations, you're also awesome. We get it, it's a long video. Obviously, every group did really well in their first stage. They really brought it for the competition and have just raised the bar even higher. And so we're really excited to see what they do next week in round 1.
Exciting. As always, feel free to leave some comments down below sharing your own thoughts and opinions on the performances for episode 1 of Kingdom, but as always, we ask people to be respectful, no negativity in this comment section. Thank you. Let us know if you agree, disagree with any thoughts that we had, anything you want to build upon. Also, if you just want to like fangirl and share how excited you are about Kingdom finally starting, that's cool too.
That being said, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so you know when the next episode of our Kingdom reactions comes out. Bye!